Hey, good Thursday morning, February 19th, here from the Streaming Center for the next hour. Great to be with you. We are watching a whole lot of things, a lot of live developments right now. Colin Gray trial in day 4. That is the 42nd witness to take the stand in the last 4 days. We're also watching President Trump speaking at his inaugural Board of Peace event in Washington, D.C. It comes just hours before he travels here to Rome, Georgia, to deliver some remarks later today. Also, the state election board there, they are discussing the Fulton County raid at the election office just weeks ago. We'll be watching for any developments out of there. But let's talk about the weather today. It's warm as you head out there, although overcast as well. We have a wonderful shot from our Midtown camera. If we check that out, taken from Georgia Tech area, meteorologist Melissa Nord. You know that shot well, former Yellow Jacket.
It's beautiful.
It's a nice
it's
campus.
a little cloudy. It's a little humid. You know, it feels a lot more like April or May outside. So I brought in my Master's cup today.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm a tea drinker or just a hot water drinker. I have different cups every day. Today it's Master's Day.
It's right around the corner.
Master's time. And we could have some like record heat, feeling very spring-like outside today. That record heat is with us, or near record heat at least, with us today. But as you feel the air outside, you feel it's warm, it's spring-like, but it's also turning more humid outside. So that's a sign that we've got some chances of rain on the way. But today, fake spring continues. High of 77 degrees this afternoon. That's 1 degree shy of a record from 1891. 1891, pre-industrial revolution, pre-all development in the city of Atlanta. 78 degrees, the record today. We're going to be running close to 20 degrees above that average this time of year. But you can see here the rain chance on the climb the next couple of days. 30% chance today. That goes up to 40% tomorrow for some scattered showers and even a few isolated thunderstorms in the mix. That rain chance goes up to 60% on Saturday. So you can see all that moisture draped across North Georgia. We have got cloudy skies and a few spotty showers that I've been tracking. These are not much more than a few raindrops on the windshield. These are light showers pushing through western Fannin and Gilmer counties, but you'll also notice in metro Atlanta as you step out today some damp roadways first thing this morning. We did have some patchy drizzle overnight as well. Big picture, though, we're tracking storms erupting later today to our north, up across the Ohio Valley, the Corn Belt as well, south of Indianapolis throughout kind of Boonville area, southern Indiana, southeastern Illinois as well. We've got a level 3 risk of severe weather today for damaging winds, some hail possible, and tornadoes. As we get into Friday and Saturday, a front arrives here, then it stalls out over North Georgia for a day. So you notice tomorrow a level 1 in that Kelly green color of severe weather for a few gusty winds, and then again on Saturday a level 1 risk. I think that's just because it's warm and humid outside. I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of really organized, structured thunderstorms, but we can't rule out a stray thunderstorm with some gustier winds. So big picture, we've got this low pressure system to our north draping a front in our direction. Then it kind of stalls out over us for Saturday, and that's why we see the rain coming in. I want to show you a little closer picture hour by hour. Temperatures this afternoon break into the 70s after that low-level cloud cover thins out. Those showers thin out, and we see that breezy southwest wind coming in. So a really spring-like, warm, pushing borderline hot for this time of year afternoon, close to record heat. By tomorrow, the front coming into North Georgia brings us some scattered showers, a few pockets of heavy rain, and a few thunderstorms in the mix. You can see there for Friday morning, the front wobbling over us through Saturday as well, so we'll see more rounds of some locally heavy rain and thunderstorms from the morning through the mid-afternoon. Then it should clear out for Sunday as that cooler air makes a comeback. Not a lot of rain coming tomorrow, but I think Saturday with more rounds of rain, we'll end up with full rain totals, 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches on average. So in the meantime, savor that sunshine this afternoon. The warm temperatures, they are not here to stay indefinitely, but at least today and tomorrow, it's going to feel more like Masters weather outside. 75 tomorrow afternoon. That will also be not too far off our record, but I don't think we're quite there. That record tomorrow. Ooh, what happened here? Something happened to the graphics. We just upgraded them yesterday. Looks like they're still trying to figure out what's going on. Record tomorrow is 78 again. 7-day forecast, cold comes back, Dan. We always say tax day. Or about Masters weekend is when you can do that outdoor planting. That's when we're frost and freeze free here in Atlanta. Definitely before the first day of spring, so March 21st. Do not do any of those sensitive plants outside. Monday, Tuesday, a good example of that. Those are Atlanta's low temperatures in the 20s and low 30s. Suburbs will be a lot colder than that.
Good to know. I don't keep plants alive very well at all, so I need all the help I can get.
You're not a houseplant mom.
I can't say I
or
got
dad,
the green
like
thumb.
Ariana.
I don't have the green thumb. 48 days until the Masters. Isn't that exciting?
Oh, you just counted. Great.
Yeah.
The spring warmth gets us excited for it, but it's fake spring.
The azaleas will be in bloom.
Red bud winter comes back Sunday and Monday.
Red bud winter. Okay.
Because the red buds are blooming already.
Ah, there you go.
We call it a red bud winter. Yeah.
She's full of knowledge, folks. Great to see you, Melissa. Thanks. Sure. Hey, let's check in with the State Election Board. They are meeting right now. It is day 2 of their meeting out in Barrow County is where this is being held. They were talking about Fulton County a moment ago. Let's listen and see if they still are discussing that.
For me, in researching the Rossi Moncla case, the former executive director shared with me that he went into the Secretary of State's office during that time period. You then turned to him and you said to him, "You can't come in here." He said, what do you mean I can't come in there? You can't come in here. Into the Secretary of State's office, your executive director. You then went into the office, according to his testimony. When you came out of the office, you said to him, "We're not going to investigate Raffensperger, and we're not going to investigate Fulton County. And we're not going to deal with the 2020 elections anymore." That executive director then said to you, but Mr. Chairman, you have a committee. I'm telling you, we're not going to do it. Now, that's his testimony to me. So don't tell me that you did not obstruct. That is obstruction. When you tell your executive director that he cannot come into another government agency. Now, what this board decides to do is the will of the board, but you don't have a right to say that. Now, you have a right to choose as chairman whether you want to vote on any measure. But, Mr. Chairman, I think you were entirely wrong to tell that executive director he couldn't come in. What was being discussed so important that your executive director could not follow you into the Secretary of State's office and talk?
Well, your allegations are false. Okay. Your allegations are false to begin with. I told him that I did not want him attending that because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. This was the very beginning of my tenure as chairman here, and I wanted to have a private conversation with the representative of the Secretary of State's office to find exactly what I was getting myself into when I took over this. Because after I took over, I heard multitudes of negative comments about me being associated with this board. Okay. I want to find out what I was getting into from their standpoint. And that was the sole conversation that took place. That'll be confirmed by Ms. McGowan, who's a part of that conversation. What you stated happened afterwards did not happen. And you won't find anybody that will confirm that that happened because nobody heard that happen. It did not happen. I did not tell him that. I deny it. And I don't care what you say, smile all you want to, but it did not happen.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you have, there's always two sides to every story, and we have to take you at what you're saying today. I also would say that the former executive director, Mike Cohen, I do not believe for 1 second that he lied to me. And I believe he probably has recorded testimony somewhere that will probably stand behind that.
Bring it forward. Bring it forward. There's no recording of that. So bring it forward. I did not tell him that. So you bring it forward.
I'm just saying, look, let's just get to the truth and let's don't obstruct. That's all we want. And I think that's all this board wants. This whole exercise that the FBI went to a federal magistrate judge with a criminal warrant. They didn't come to the SEB. They went to a federal magistrate judge. The federal magistrate judge looked at the warrant and apparently must have said, there's questions that need to be answered. So they granted the criminal warrant. Now, to criticize anybody in America for asking questions about an election process when their issues come up, I want you to everybody in this room to pause and think about what happened here yesterday. I listened to Fulton County when I asked, it's been stated that there are hundreds of voters in your voter system that have the year date of 1900. It says they were born in 1900 on Fulton County voter rolls. And Fulton County has made progress in that area by reducing that. And they reported yesterday, it's all on video, it'll all be on court transcript. Think about this. They reported we've gotten it down to 200 and something. Are you kidding me? You've gotten it down to 200 and something people on your voter rolls that were born in 1900. That'd be a 126-year-old person. Wow. I just want you to think about the irony of that. And I would say,
Contentious meeting there at the Georgia State Election Board, day 2 of their meeting in Barrow County. We'll keep an eye on developments there. Also happening in Barrow County, the Colin Gray trial in day 4 of testimony. We'll be watching that closely for you as well. You can watch it for yourself right now by scrolling down and then over here on the 11Alive Plus app on our alternate streaming channel. Also, President Trump speaking live at the inaugural Board of Peace. Some representatives from some 40 different countries speaking there as they look towards the future of peace in Gaza. The president coming to Rome, Georgia a little later today. We're back in just a few minutes. You're watching 11Alive Plus. Hey, you probably know Georgia has that hands-free law when it comes to using the cell phone in your car, but some new data is raising a question over whether smartphone distraction is still driving crashes, especially among youth. Joining us now for an important conversation this morning is Maurice Raines, Deputy Director of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, to talk about what the numbers show and what needs to change. Mr. Raines, good morning, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today.
Well, you're welcome. We know this law, this hands-free law, went into effect in Georgia about 8 years ago, 2018. From your perspective, is it making a difference when it comes to reducing crashes and fatalities?
It is making a difference, but we do have an issue in our state. Not only our state, we're grateful to have a hands-free law from House Bill 673 that was enacted July 1 of 2018. However, once the law was in effect, we did see a 5% decrease right out the chute. Here lately, though, the numbers are not going in the direction we wanted them to go in. We have a group of young drivers. That's where the highest is per 100,000 licensed drivers. That it is an issue, but all of us have to admit at some point while driving we are distracted.
How do you get through to those young drivers? Sadly, Mr. Raines, I don't think they're watching 11 Alive Plus at 10:15 on this Thursday morning. How do you find them, and what's your message to them?
We have to go where they are with the message. We have to go to events that they attend and have messaging out there with information of how serious this situation is across our state, not only across the state, our nation, and educate them. And unfortunately, if education does not work, the only other component we have is enforcement. And we're doing our best to do that. We do have a new strategy in the governor's office of highway safety coming out on April 1. Won't talk about what that is, but I think it's going to be great to work in that capacity to help us with these distracted drivers.
How do you enforce this? Is it one of the things where a trooper's driving down the road and they look over and see somebody on their phone, or is it more methodical than that?
It is. It's one of those moments. It's unfortunate. Even though an officer makes a traffic stop for being distracted, somebody else drive by distracted. So we definitely have to get the educational piece in place, and we're doing that. And we're gonna see that intensify come April 1. Getting the message out, and we do know, and I will say this: we can't do this alone. The motoring public has to help us with this issue. And once we do the educational piece, we'll have to do less enforcement. But if the educational piece doesn't work, then we have no choice but to go to enforcement.
You know, when we talk about education, this number really stood out to me. Only about 5% of young drivers in fatal Georgia crashes had been drinking. And yet we know if you want to get a driver's license here in Georgia, you got to go through this alcohol education class or at least learn about it. Do you think it's time to mandate distracted driving education as well before you get a license?
Well, anytime you can mandate something before you get started, and I will say this, and I want to defend young people right out the chute. Young people have watched their parents speed. They've watched their parents talk on the cell phone. They watched their parents not be buckled. And I pray to God there's been a few that have seen their parents impaired while driving. So the issue that we have is changing the behavior that they learn before they even begin to drive. And we're working in that capacity. And to be honest with you, we're actually getting ready to educate at the 4th and 5th grade because the middle school kids are already kind of developed habits based on what they've seen their parents do. But I want you to think about this component for just a moment. As soon as a 15-year-old gets a learner's permit and they get behind the wheel with their parent, the first thing the parent says to them, don't you speed, put on your seatbelt, and don't you dare pick up that phone. And they watch their parents do it for years. So the culture is in place. So what I'm getting at, the most important thing we can do now is try to drive home the educational piece by going where these kids are. We've got to go to the schools. We've got to go to these sporting events. We've got to have events that they'll be, whether even if it's an expo or a fair or whatever. We're going to all of those components to try to educate because education is key. If we can educate, then we don't have to enforce.
Speaking of getting through to the youth and culture perhaps being a problem, I want to ask you about some breaking news we got about an hour ago. 2 UGA football players were arrested overnight for reckless driving. We have talked about this before in the program. I'm not asking you to speak about this case specifically, but just broadly speaking, how do you buck that trend? Because we have seen this happen time and time again when it comes to young athletes inside that one program.
It's immaturity for one. It's an immaturity piece, whether it be I'm just going to see what I can do. I'm going to see what I can get away with. So it's immaturity is part of the equation. But a lot of people young feel that there's no consequences for their action until they're caught. And most of the time they get caught. And so I think, again, it goes back to I'm certain that, when we single out sporting events because they are high profile and they're seen all the time. The question is, we do know that these coaches and these athletes are given guidance as to what to do and not to do. It's just about taking a chance. It's just like beginning to speed. When you look at the speedometer, it says 55 and you see it go to 60, you're speeding. So the component at that point is just getting caught. So I think What has to happen in that capacity is we've got to drive home education. That's the only way we're going to change the trend. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. We cannot do this alone. We have to have the public's help.
If Coach Kirby Smart asked you to come speak to his program, what would your message be to college age students? You talked about trying to find fourth graders and fifth graders at a young age and get to them early. But what about when you're 20 years old and you've already started to develop these habits? What do you preach to a college student?
First of all, the consequences for bad behavior. Everyone has to understand that there is consequences when you do conduct bad behavior. And in conducting bad behavior, when you conducting bad behavior, you're going to have to deal with it. And so when you don't have that mindset that you could get caught or there are consequences on the end, you take chances.
Maurice Raines, Deputy Director of Georgia's Office of Highway Safety. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate what you do in protecting our youth out there and protecting all drivers on Georgia roadways. Is there anything else you want to say today?
Yes, thank you for having us on. We're driving home the educational piece in the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. We thank all law enforcement for their part on the enforcement initiative that they put on every single day, 365 days a year. We thank them for their efforts and what they do trying to make the motoring public safe. And the last component would be we cannot do this by ourselves. We need the motoring public to help us with this situation. And I believe we're going to make the turns that we need to make because we're going to do our part to educate, and law enforcement is going to do its part to do the enforcement side.
Very good. Maurice Raines, we'll leave it there. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, we are back in just a couple minutes. You're watching 11Alive Plus. (10:25). We are live with you as we are every morning here from the 11Alive Streaming Center, following live events as they happen from across the nation and here at home. And happening right now in Barrow County, the state election board meeting. It was contentious when we checked in a few minutes ago. Let's see if things have cooled at all.
This is a body created by the legislature, and it gives a broad approach of serving the people of Georgia. And so whatever issues we have, I expect us to operate in sunlight, daylight, truth, honesty, and going forward, and to be there for one another. And I expect that of every member of this board and every employee of the state election board.
Any other comments on this topic? Well, let's move on to the next subject. Update on SEB email record. Member King.
I didn't add this to the agenda,
Did you want
but don't want to
to
comment.
have an opportunity?
I just want to know, have we gotten the emails
Well,
yet?
you had asked a question about,
No. she's
okay,
not.
all right, the next item is the update on SCB
Excuse
email records, Addison, Sheila, member Mashburn.
No.
Mr. Chairman, have we received that information?
After the last board meeting, I asked them to add Addison and Sheila. And I was told that that request was made of their IT people, and I haven't done anything since then. Member Mashburn, the Secretary of State does not have Member Mashburn's email addresses, or doesn't have his emails because he did not have a state email address. And so those would have to be obtained separately from Member Mashburn, who I think I've talked to him 2 or 3 times ever. He's not a acquaintance of mine, so he'll need to be reached out to. I did talk to him once after the email question came up, and he said he'd be willing to download them and provide them if needed. So that was my only conversation with Member Mashburn about it. So
And there were.
and the Addison and Sheila were both temporary employees, and my understanding is that their emails would be very limited, but the Secretary of State was willing to provide them. So
Were there not also?
Now to some breaking news out of that Board of Peace meeting that you're also looking at from out of Washington, D.C., where you see Marco Rubio speaking right now. We've just learned President Trump has just pledged $10 billion for his Board of Peace, but didn't specify what the money will be used for. Let's listen to Secretary Rubio.
Complex and difficult situations so they can be solved in the same way. But right now the focus is on this one. We have to get this right. There is no plan B for Gaza. Plan B is going back to war. No one here wants that. Plan A, the only path forward, is one that rebuilds Gaza in a way of enduring and sustainable peace, where everyone can live there side by side with one another and never worry again about returning to conflict, to war, to human suffering, and to destruction. And again, Mr. President, thank you for having the vision and the courage to pursue something that has never been done before, and we're not done yet. And thank you to Steve Woodcoff and Jared Kushner for the time and the work they put into this. And thank you on behalf of the State Department and the U.S. government to all of the nations that are here. Every one of you is indispensable, including our observer partners, who we hope can find your way to join us at some point as officially part of this. But we are grateful for the fact you're here today and the contributions you've made already. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. We will now hear from our special envoy, Steve Woodcoff.
All right, that was Secretary Rubio finishing up there at the Board of Peace, President Trump's inaugural meeting with representatives from nearly 40 different countries, and $10 billion going to be used to help launch this board. Now to more international news. Police in the UK have arrested former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, following weeks of revelations detailing his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Let's get more from NBC's Alice Barr.
Hi there. In a major shockwave tied to the Jeffrey Epstein files, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former UK prince, was arrested this morning. Pressure has been growing around his years-long friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, the late convicted sex offender, with new revelations coming out over the past few weeks as the Department of Justice made millions more pages public from the Epstein files. Police officers were seen arriving at Mountbatten Windsor's home today on what is his 66th birthday. Thames Valley Police said they arrested a 66-year-old man on suspicion of misconduct in public office, but would not be naming the man. That's customary among UK police and unconnected with the former prince's status. That crime carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment in the UK. The former prince, brother of King Charles, has always denied any wrongdoing over his affiliation with Epstein and has said he regrets the friendship. Police said earlier this month they were working with specialists at an independent body to determine whether an investigation into the former prince was warranted. He is the former because his title was stripped, as the royal family has been trying to distance themselves from him. The family of Virginia Giuffre, who sued Mountbatten Windsor accusing him of sexual assault, which he denied, released a new statement thanking police and saying not even royalty is above the law. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
It is 10:30 on this Thursday morning, and it is nice to be sharing this morning with you here on 11Alive Plus. We got 30 more minutes of packed news coming your way after this short break. We're back with some breaking news that we first brought you in the 9 o'clock hour, as this news is just trickling in about two UGA football players who were arrested late last night on charges of reckless driving. We know that their names, Darren Ikenabon and Christopher Cole. Cole, a linebacker for the team, started every game last season, had nearly 60 tackles, a key player for UGA. Ikenabon started in fewer games and had a handful of tackles, I believe entering his second season with the team. And now it's going to be up to head coach Kirby Smarts and other school officials to decide how these two players will be disciplined. This is part of a greater trend that we have been seeing out of the University of Georgia's football team when it comes to players arrested or cited for driving-related incidents in recent years. One of those incidents even turned deadly a couple years ago. This latest one did not. Those arrests made in the 10 o'clock hour last night in Athens. Those two players booked on charges of reckless driving. When we happened to just be speaking with the Deputy Director of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety on an unrelated topic here on the show about 20 minutes ago, we took the opportunity to ask him about this and said, what is your message? How do you get through to college students? And he said it really starts with immaturity, but then it starts with having a meeting with them and preaching the importance of safety on the roadways. And he says it's something they are starting as early as 4th and 5th grade now here in the state of Georgia. So that's a story we're going to be following today. We got the confirmation from Athens Police not too long ago, and just making sure we're not missing anything else in regards to the story right now. Reams, I know that we have also reached out to the school and hopefully expecting some kind of response from them today.
Correct. No response yet. Our team in the newsroom looking at charges and incidents in the past related to this, we're counting at least up to 16 different players involved, having some type of incidents involving traffic or moving violations. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not seeing the full list in front of me. That's the notes that I'm getting right now.
Yep.
Could be as low as 11, but around a dozen. This is not an isolated incident at all.
Right, exactly. So what are you going to do about the trend? We'll be looking forward to hearing from the school at some point later today. All right, now to some other breaking news that we are following this morning. This on the national stage, President Trump meeting with his Board of Peace right now. It is going on as we take a live look. These are representatives from about 40 different countries nationwide joining this inaugural Board of Peace. And we also learned this morning as they are talking about how to reconstruct war-battered Gaza and a peace plan moving forward for Gaza. We also learned that the president is pledging $10 billion for the Board of Peace. He did not specify what that money will be used for exactly, but be keeping a close eye on that. We're hearing from President Trump at that meeting this morning. Pretty soon, he's going to be hopping on an Air Force One and traveling here to the Peach State. He's coming to Georgia to speak in Georgia's Rome. He's going to be touring a small business there, I do believe, and then also speaking to a larger crowd today, expected to touch on affordability and also the open congressional seat there after Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene retired about a month ago. So you can imagine he will have some comments about the former Congresswoman and also the crowded field of candidates seeking to take her place. We will be watching the president's comments very closely today. Reams, this is going to be something that we are bringing you live on 11Alive Plus a little later today.
That's correct. We'll be bringing coverage throughout the afternoon with Zach Merchant sitting in your seat right there. Live coverage from that and the other trials that we're following today. All
right, Zach, from the Georgia vote, perfect person to have putting the president's comments into context and perspective for you a little later today. Speaking of the president's comments, yesterday speaking at a Black History Month event at the White House, he started talking about the National Guard presence in several cities across the nation, including Washington, D.C. and Memphis. And then somebody from the crowd shouted, well, what about Atlanta? And then President Trump responded with this.
Well, I know we need a little help. You need help in Atlanta. He just said, you're right, Atlanta, we could take care of Atlanta. I'll tell you what, you ought to get them to call me. We could take care of Atlanta so fast.
So the president there thinking out loud, musing a bit, if you will, about the potential for National Guard troops in the city. When he sent the National Guard into D.C., yes, we saw crime numbers drop significantly at the time as troops were there on the ground. The question here in Atlanta, though, do the numbers warrant a National Guard presence? This is what the numbers show right now in the city of Atlanta. This is the latest crime data from the Atlanta Police Department published last week. Total crime down 18% so far in the city this year. Homicides, look, cut in half. There's been 8 so far this year compared to 17 this time last year, so more than a 50% drop. And when you look at all these categories, all of them except one in the negative and dropping by about double digits. Aggravated assaults are the only category that are up year to year, up 14%. That includes things like non-fatal shootings. If you get punched at the face at a bar, that's going to be counted as an aggravated assault. We have reached out to the city of Atlanta, to the mayor's office, and also to the police department for their response to the president's comments. We haven't heard back yet, but we will let you know once we do. Now we want to go to Barrow County and the latest in the Colin Gray trial. We are in day 4 of that trial. Testimony underway from yet another witness, 40 plus that have been called to the stand. This particular witness now being cross-examined by the defense team, and I believe they are talking about Colt Gray's schooling experience. Let's listen in.
September, when this incident occurred, Mr. Gray, Colin Gray, had registered all 3 children. Isn't that correct?
All 3 children were registered. I'd have to go back and appear. I do believe they were all, he was listed as the registering parent for all 3.
Okay. It was not his wife, but it was he that registered all 3 children.
I mean, I can't tell you who was actually doing the typing on the other end of the computer, but his name was what was listed, yes.
Okay. Did you know that Ms. Gray was not in this county?
I did not.
You did not. What about the 8th grade? Do you know where the children were living in the 8th grade? Or when he would have been in the 8th grade? Colt?
I do not. Registration, proof of residency would have been provided, but I didn't process that registration.
Okay. So do you know who may have attempted to register him in the 8th grade other than that document that you have there?
Who would have attempted to register him? Again, I don't process each individual registration, so I could go back and look at those records, but I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay. You don't know in the 8th grade whether Colt Gray was living with his father or mother, correct?
I don't know. I would have to go back and look at what documents were provided to us.
Well, the state showed you an email which indicated that he, Mr. Gray, Colin Gray, had said that Colt was not going to be registered because he was going to be living with his mother in Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I believe that was the August of 23 registration.
Correct. Which would have been 8th grade?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you don't know how long he lived with his mother that year?
I do not.
Okay. In the 7th grade, do you know whether Mr. Gray, Colin Gray, and Marcy Gray were together or not?
I don't know that answer.
Okay. So you don't know whether Mr. Gray or Ms. Gray went down to the school to assist in registering the children for the 7th grade?
In Barrow County, it is all done online. You don't go to the school.
Okay, well, in the 7th grade, they were at Jefferson Middle, right?
I believe that's right. In Colt's 7th grade year? He started at West Jackson Middle and then moved to Jefferson City, yes.
And do you know whether the other two children were also registered there?
For the 23-24 school year, it looks like Jenny started in Ben Hill and moved, 22-23 school year is the year we're talking about, sorry. Jenny started in Jackson County, went to Jefferson City, and then went to Ben Hill County.
Your records don't reflect when Colin Gray and Marcy Gray were still together. Would there be anything in your records that would reflect that?
If there were some kind of custody agreement in records, maybe, but I don't have that in front of me.
Okay. So from the 2nd grade to the 5th grade, there were a number of schools that the children attended. That'd be fair to say?
From Colt's 2nd grade year?
Yes, ma'am.
He was still in Barrow County through 3rd grade. And then beginning in 4th grade, yes, he went to a number of schools.
Right. Hall, Forsyth, and Ben Hill. Right?
Hall, Forsyth, and Ben Hill through the 6th grade, and Jackson County in the 6th grade.
Okay. And do you know whether or not Colin Gray and Marcy Gray were together during his 4th grade?
I'm not aware.
All right. I think that's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Just briefly.
This to you for reference.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that registering for Barrow County schools is all online, correct? And so in order to register a child for Barrow County, you have to list, you indicated essentially the custodial parent as the registering parent. Is that correct?
Correct.
That does not mean that that parent is the one filling out the form, correct?
It should be, but I can't promise who's on the other end of the computer. There is a parent ID that has to be provided to match the registering parent.
Okay. And then the emails from August related to registration that are from Marcy Gray, do those discuss the other parent?
I mean, this one that is signed by Marcy Gray, she's referring to Colin and Coley Gray, saying that they're the same name and his name would be on the lease.
Okay. So she's the one who's, I think, setting up the phone call and that kind of thing?
Correct, and she refers to him as my husband.
And is it your understanding that these are the only emails related to registration for the August 2024 timeframe?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so there are no emails from Colin or Coley Gray?
I do not believe so.
All right, thank you.
Just one question. Do you have anything in your record to indicate that Marcy Gray came to Barrow County in 2024 to do anything as far as registration?
I do not have record of that.
Thank you, ma'am. Free to go. State calls Suzette, please. If you could raise your right hand, please. Swear the testimony given in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay. If you could introduce yourself to the jury and then spell your name for the lady here.
Okay. My name is Sujette Giddens. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I was working as a school counselor in Ben Hill Middle School. My name is Sujette-Giddens.
So you said you worked at Ben Hill County School System?
Yes.
And how long did you work there?
About 15 years.
Okay. Do you still work there now?
I'm working part-time now.
Okay. I want to take your attention back to the school year of 2021 into 2022.
Okay.
Was Colt Gray enrolled in your school at that point?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what grade was he going into?
He must have been 6th grade.
Okay. And is that the first grade for Ben Hill Middle
Yes.
School? Okay. Did you know of Colt Gray when he was in 5th grade? I know it wasn't your school, but did you know of him?
I was not familiar with him.
Okay. Were you familiar with his family?
Yes.
Okay. How were you familiar with his family?
I've been friends with his grandmother for many years.
And what's her name?
Debbie Polhamus.
Okay. And so did you know that a Colt Gray existed?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you expect him coming to your school?
I saw his name on the rosters.
Okay. But you'd never met him before?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. Now, 2021, that was during COVID, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was the operating, how was your school operating? I know everybody kind of did things different.
Students were working, they had their Chromebooks and they were working from home, and that's what Colt was doing at the beginning of that year.
Okay. Did you have any issues with Colt, or did the school have any issues with Colt and that online, or not the online, but the at-home learning?
He was not consistent with doing the assignments.
Okay. And did something specific happen in August of that year?
Yes. Our district has a program on all the school devices that monitor searches. And if words such as death or guns or drugs or any of those words sort of throws up a flag to the administrative staff and the counselors for us to follow up with.
Okay. And did that happen with Colt?
It did.
And what was the word that flagged?
The first word that flagged was abuse.
Okay. And do you remember when that was?
That was in August of
Do you
2021.
do you keep is it part of the process of your school system to have a way to log things in as they happen?
Yes,
Okay. And do you participate in that system?
I do.
Okay. Would it help refresh your recollection if you had a copy of that?
Sure.
Judge will have the same objection on this. There's a lot of writing there that I think it would be a continuing testimony. I'm not sure exactly what parts the state wants to.
Your Honor, I'm not going to tender it into evidence. It's a recorded recollection. We could tender it and have her read from it, but at this point, I'm just going to use it to refresh her recollection.
Is it a marked exhibit?
Sir?
Is it a marked exhibit?
It is not, Your Honor. I'm just using it to refresh her recollection. I'm going to show you, do you recognize just the general nature of that form?
Yes, this is our contact log.
Okay. And do everybody in the school system, if they have contact or something, they would put
They
it
would
in?
put that in, yes.
Okay. And you are a part of that also?
Yes,
Okay. I want to take your attention. Does it go by date and time?
it does.
Okay. I want to move you over to the 20th or the 19th of August.
Okay,
All right. And do you see where you put in a log for what had happened about the word searching for abuse?
yes.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection as to when that search was done?
Yes, it was in August the 20th of 2021.
Okay. When was the search done?
The search was done on the night previously, I think.
Okay.
And then when we came in that morning, we saw the alert and we began to follow up on it.
Okay. And was there a second search after the word abuse?
Yes, it was how to kill your dad.
Okay. What is the protocol? So he's not at school when this
He
happens?
is not at school.
Okay. So what do you do about that?
Okay, if he's at school, we would immediately brought him in and talked with him. Since he was not at school, I attempted to get in touch with him, I guess by phone. I did not get a response. I tried to get in touch with his mom. We did not get a response, and so it was decided that we would send the resource officer from the school to the home to make sure that everyone was safe.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did the school resource officer go out
Yes.
to the home? Okay. And what was your understanding of how things were at the home?
He found everyone to be safe. He talked with mom, and then came back and let us know that everything was safe.
Okay. Did you ever get an email from anyone about what had happened?
I did correspond with his mom about what had happened, so she was aware.
Okay. What did you do as a result of this incident happening?
Since Colt was not in school, so that we could follow up and make sure that everything, talk with him and make sure everything was good, we felt we needed an additional someone go into the home to monitor the family. So I made a report to Department of Family and Children Services.
Okay. And I'm going to mark this as Exhibit 206. You can flip through it. Take your time.
Yes, this is the report that I sent in.
That's the report you sent in?
Yes.
And it was alleging the abuse, the word abuse, and the search for how to kill your dad?
Right.
Okay. Your Honor, this time I would tender State Exhibit number 206 into evidence. It would not go back with the jury, but it would go into evidence.
Any objection? It's not going back to the jury, you're just going to ask questions.
All right, 206 is admitted.
Okay. So you had said earlier that Colt was not doing his assignments and turning them in. Did there continue to be a problem with that?
He was inconsistent. Several weeks after this, he began to come into class.
Okay, so y'all started back.
Started back.
Okay.
And so, but he was inconsistent with his attendance and doing his work.
At some point that year, did the attendance stop?
Well, they moved away.
Okay.
Shortly, I think a couple of months after this occurred.
Okay. Would it have still been first semester?
Yes.
Okay. What's the process for unenrolling a student from Ben Hill school system when they move away?
We keep them enrolled until we get a request from the next school showing that they have completed the enrollment papers, and then they send for the records from our school. Once that's completed, then we stop their enrollment at our school.
And did your school receive requests for information from another school before the end of the first semester?
I don't believe we did.
Okay. When the second semester started in January, did you receive anything?
It was a while, and because we were trying to follow up and they weren't getting enrolled, another report to DFACS was made for the lack of attendance in school.
Okay. I'll show you where's Mark's takes in 207.
All right, you were watching day 4 of the Colin Gray trial, a school counselor taking the stand right now. Third witness, I believe, of the day. Prior to this, you heard from school system officials discussing Colt Gray's attendance history, really as a student dating back to kindergarten, all the way through 9th grade, just a few days into his 9th grade year when this shooting happened. His father standing trial right now, facing some very serious charges, including murder. Prosecutors say he supplied the gun to his son that was used in that shooting. The jury getting a look at that gun yesterday for the first time. We will have more on that coming up in just a few minutes on 11Alive Midday. Also coming up on 11Alive Midday, the latest on those 2 UGA players who were arrested for reckless driving last night. We have reached out to the school, waiting to hear back. We will walk you through what we do know. Also, Reams, the latest on the Winter Olympics. Did we miss anything big yesterday?
There's some close calls.
Okay.
Some close calls on the hockey front. A little overtime action.
Well, that's a tease.
A little 3-on-3 action. It was a great thing to watch.
And just a few days left.
Sunday, 2:30 closing ceremonies on 11Alive.
All right, catch it here. Cheryl's been doing some great reports over there in Milan. So get the latest on the Winter Olympics in just a minute. As we leave you with this wonderful shot of Blue Ridge, Georgia this morning. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it here, though, on 11Alive Plus. The latest headlines and weather straight ahead on midday.